Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miss.
Everyone. Good morning, Miss. And welcome to our annual reading workshop for grade 9 with Miss Grace Hudson and yours truly, Miss Deborah Darlington. Now, to start our workshop, we're going to begin with a little icebreaker. Now, remember I told you to walk with your little mirrors? Did everybody walk with their mirrors?
Yes, Miss.
Wonderful. Roshni, did you? Wonderful. I'm not hearing you, Roshni.
Yes, Miss, I did.
Okay, so this morning, we're gonna place our mirror in front of us. And then you're gonna look into your mirror and identify one thing that you can see. And then you're gonna say one thing you cannot see in the mirror about yourself. Now, I want you to think carefully during this activity. Now, take about 2 minutes, think about it, and you complete. So you're looking into the mirror, you're identifying one thing you can see and one thing you cannot see about yourself. You can go ahead.
Okay, Miss, I can go first.
Okay.
When I look into the mirror, I can see that I have my hair in a ponytail. However, what I can't see and what like the public can't see right away is that I love to bake.
Wonderful. Everybody put your hands together for Crystal. Wonderful. Okay, now we'll take you, Roshni.
Okay, Miss, so when I look into the mirror, I could see a smile, but what I cannot see is the frown that sits within.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. Put your hands together for Roshni. That's great. Now we'll have Truth.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of biles on my face, and what I can't see is what's beneath them.
Lovely. Put your hands together for Truth. I'm so happy that we were able to complete that little icebreaker. How are you feeling now?
Very good, Miss.
Wonderful. Now I'll hand you over to Miss Grace.
Okay, good morning, students.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Miss.
Now, I hope that little reflective activity would help you throughout the rest of this workshop. It's always good to reflect. And you'll see how in comprehension, it's also good to use those reflective skills in order to understand prose, understand any literature. So I have this little video here for you to watch so that we can kickstart our activities for today. I'll play the video. Just tell me if you're hearing clearly.
Not hearing, Miss.
No, I'm not hearing.
Athletic boy, hungry for
Can
Hearing
hear?
now.
for whom winning
Can you
Yes,
hearing now?
hearing now.
Yes,
Okay,
now.
great.
was everything, and success was measured just by winning. One day, the boy was preparing himself for a running competition in a small village, himself and two other young boys to compete. A large crowd had gathered to witness the sporting spectacle, and a wise old man, upon hearing of the little boy, had traveled far to bear witness also. The race commenced, looking like a level heat at the finishing line. But sure enough, the boy dug deep and called on his determination, strength, and power. He took the winning line and was first. The crowd was ecstatic and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man remained still and calm, expressing no sentiment. The little boy, however, felt proud and important. A second race was called, and two new, young, fit challengers came forward to run with the little boy. The race was started, and sure enough, the little boy came through and finished first once again. The crowd was ecstatic again and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man remained still and calm, again expressing no sentiment. The little boy, however, felt proud and important. Another race, pleaded the little boy. The wise old man stepped forward and presented the little boy with two new challengers, an elderly frail lady and a blind man. "What is this?" quizzed the little boy. "This is no race," he exclaimed. "Race," said the wise man. The race was started, and the boy was the only finisher. The other two challengers left standing at the starting line. The little boy was ecstatic. He raised his arms in delight. The crowd, however, were silent, showing no sentiment toward the little boy. "What has happened? Why not do the people join in my success?" he asked the wise old man. "Race again," replied the wise man. "This time, finish together, all three of you. Finish together," continued the wise man. The little boy thought a little, stood in the middle of the blind man and the frail old lady, and then took the two challengers by the hand. The race began, and the little boy walked slowly, ever so slowly, to the finishing line and crossed it. The crowd were ecstatic and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man smiled, gently nodding his head. The little boy felt proud and important. "Old man, I understand not. Who are the crowd cheering for? Which one of us three?" asked the little boy. The wise old man looked into the little boy's eyes, placing his hands on the boy's shoulders, and replied softly, "Little boy, for this race, you have won much more than in any race you have ever ran before. And for this race, the crowd cheer not for any winner. You see, in life, in your life, what are you running for? Are you hungry for success? Is winning the only measurement for you in your life? Who are you running against? And if you always win against everybody, then soon the people will stop cheering for you."
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. And I want to hear from you. How do you think this story applies to you? Any part of the story, whether it's the characters, whether it's the overall theme, whether it's the plot, how does this story apply to you?
Miss, I will go first.
Okay.
So, in my academic journey, I've learned that there's no use competing. It's rather what you learn along the way. So, and I also came across a quote recently on the internet, and it says that competition happens at the bottom, the people at the top collaborate. So, we can see that we rely on each other for support, and in terms, teamwork even makes you produce something better rather
That
than
is
doing
very
things
profound.
independently.
That is very profound, Roshini. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Who else wants to share? Which part of the story resonated with you? Crystal or Truth?
Yes, miss, no problem. I can share. So the part of the story that resonates with me is the part that sometimes you see life as a race, but I've learned that instead of seeing life as a race that you're hurrying to finish, it should be seen more of as a journey that is to be enjoyed and taken on your own time.
That is profound
Okay,
as
miss.
well. I'm getting some really interesting answers today. Truth, you have anything to share?
Well, in addition to my colleagues, I would say part of this video that I can relate to is having or needing the support in order to move forward. I'm a person that used to enjoy working alone on my own, but now things change. I like some motivational speeches and stuff really do help me now and push me to complete what needs to be done.
I love that. I really, really love that. I got 3 different perspectives from the 3 of you, and I'm very grateful because it's teaching me things myself, right? So I wanted to ask you how it resonates with you because everyone can read and interpret or watch a movie and interpret it in ways that stand out to them personally. And that in itself is very important in comprehension because it helps you to relate, it helps you to form a connection with the literary work. Anyone knows what that is called? When you read something or you watch something and you form a connection with it personally. Anyone knows what that is called? In comprehension.
Self-reflection.
Yes, Roshini?
Self-reflection or making connections.
Self-reflection or making connections. What do you mean by self-reflection?
You are reflecting what's happening in your life and you're relating it to whatever you read.
Okay, okay. And does it mean something similar with making connections?
Yes, but it's just a type of connection.
Oh, you said it's just a type of connection. What type of connection is it? Let me hear from somebody else. What type of connection is it?
Miss, I can go. You're making a connection between yourself and the material that you're reading, whether it
Correct.
be a textbook like our book right now, World of Prose.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And that's what it's called, text to self. Now, before I want to ask you, but before, maybe you didn't think it was important to have a connection in order to comprehend text. Do you think it's important now?
Yes, Miss. After, especially after watching the video, I'm beginning to think the way you interpret something, it's always going to be affected by your personal experience in life.
Correct. I love that, Crystal. I love that. Now, I want you to take into consideration the story that we've done, the 2 grandmothers, and we're going to delve into that story today, and your activity that you produce later will be based on that story. But let's do a general recap before we get into the activity. I would like for Crystal to give us a little synopsis on what the story, the 2 grandmothers. We already did it, so just recap for us what the story is about. And I would like Roshini and Truth to give us 2 themes, right? One each that you found in the story that stood out. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to gather your thoughts and you will share with us. Is that okay?
Yes, miss.
Great.
Yes, Miss.
Okay, is anyone ready to share with us? Crystal, starting with you.
Yes, miss.
All right,
So
let's hear you about the
we
synopsis.
we read the text, The Two Grandmothers by Olive Senior, and this story is about a little girl and the experiences she has with her two very different grandmothers. First, we have her visiting with Grandma Dell, and as a young child, she thoroughly enjoyed this experience. She loved rural Jamaica, she loved going to church, and she loved hanging out with the townspeople such as Eulalie and Armandine. However, as she grows older, she starts to prefer hanging out or spending time with Grandma Elaine. Grandma Elaine is more posh and refined. She's a woman of the world and she enjoys things that are glamorous. And as the little girl grows older, she would prefer to spend more time in the glitz and glamour lifestyle of Grandma Elaine rather than spending time in the countryside with her grandma, Jill. We get to see how the little girl changes over this period and as she grows. Thank you,
Great,
Miss.
great. I see that you've recalled the story well, and I'm happy to hear that. And now I want Roshini and Truth to give us one theme each that stood out to them in the story.
Yes,
Starting with
miss. So I'll
Roshini.
start then. Yes, miss. So I will do the theme of love and family relationships. So we see that both grandmothers show their grandchild love. And for Grandma Elaine, she showed her by highlighting her flaws and telling her ways on how to improve them. And whereas Grandma Dell, she showed her love by combing her hair, taking her to church, and steering her in the right direction.
Great, Roshini. Thanks for sharing. Truth.
Okay, so team I would like to give a little insight on is women in society. This is brought out in the story with the conflict between the two grandmothers. And it's something that all can relate to or can say we know about this in our society. Some of us tend to act and behave more, what to say, more rich, more educated than others, or more high class than others based on our status or the material things that we have in life. And well, yeah, that's about it. With Grandma Ann and Grandma Dale, one was more like um country wise. She was a person, and the other was more urban. She was fashionable and stylish and so forth.
All right, that's thanks for sharing on women in society as one of the themes. Now, these themes and others will help you to better understand, or better be able to analyze the story later on. Because what I want us to do, or want you to do, is to do this exercise where you reflect on the journey of the main character in the story, the narrator. Um, Krista would have mentioned that the story is about her journey. So it's a coming of age type of thing. It started when she was very young, and you've seen her grow into a teenager along the way. So I want you to reflect on her journey. And I know us as well as young ladies, we have journeys as well. I want you to reflect on your journey too. And think of those two, her journey and yours, compare the two and see what similarities and differences there are. I want you to think on that for a couple seconds or so, and then we'll do the activity. All right. So now that you would have thought about it, I would like you to do some practical work for me. Now, I would have shared the word art link for you. I would like you to get on the word art, and what you'll do is you create one shape that represents the journey of the main character in the story, and then you'll create another shape that represents your journey. And I would like you to, when you're through with that, explain how these two journeys compare to each other. That understood?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Great. So get started on your word art. I will check with you in a minute or so. Okay, I'm already seeing your links being sent. Let's go through them. We're starting with Crystal's link, Crystal's word art. Now I would like for you to explain your word art. Crystal, explain why you chose these keywords to represent the journey of the main character.
Yes, Miss, no problem. So as you can see, this word art is in the shape of a bird. And I made it into the shape of a bird because I thought about how the little girl, she was once like a little chicken in a nest. And then eventually she's beginning to take flight into a young woman. Now, the words I chose were simple, hopeful, vain, happy, materialistic. I chose these words because in my eyes, as when the girl was a child, things were so much more simple for her. Things that brought her joy and made her happy were like going to church, being around her grandmother's animals, talking with the neighbors in the countryside of Jamaica. But then as she got older, things began to become more complex. So she became a bit more materialistic. She wanted things. She began to see the value in things such as what her other grandmother could have provided for her. Also, she started to focus on her appearance more because her grandmother Elaine was seen to be a very beautiful woman, and then she began to understand like the value of beauty to a woman in society, like my classmate Truth would have mentioned women in society. So that is what I have to say about the word art for the main character, the little girl.
All right, you made some interesting points here. So now we'll go to your representation of yourself here. So you can
Okay,
explain.
miss. Okay, miss. So in my opinion, similar to the little girl, I was always hopeful as a child. I've always been polite and a bit of a dreamer. Now, as I grow up, I'm still a bit of a dreamer. I must say that part of me stuck. I'm a bit more moody now. I used to be very cheerful and happy like the little girl all the time, but as you experience different things, your outlook on life becomes a bit different. Now, I chose a butterfly because similarly to a bird, it also has to go through some kind of a transformation. it starts out as a caterpillar and then has to go into a cocoon, and then it now arises as a butterfly. So I recognize those things about myself, that I have to go through a similar transformation. Yes, miss, that's all I have to say about the two word arts drawings.
Great, great. I really love your contributions on these two. I recognize the similarities and differences between your transformations, your growth, your journey, and the journey of the main character in the story. All right, let's take a look at someone else's own. This is Roshini's word art.
No, I believe this is true.
This is Truth's word art. Okay. So Truth, let's hear you.
Okay, so this word art is about, I would say, the little girl's journey and slightly mine. At first, everything was, romantic, loving. You were respectful to others and what's not. You didn't have so much care in the world. That I didn't have so much care in the world and so forth. I used words like caring, passion, friendship, loving, and so forth to describe the situation when I was younger, or the little girl situation also.
All right, Truth, I have to share your word art for yourself that you've made for yourself. This is it. So I want to get some more insight into this interesting word art here, and your keywords, the shape of the outline here. So explain to us.
Okay. I would choose the shape of a flower because it's more blooming, like from one stage to the next. I came from two different backgrounds, rural and urban. So making a balance between two, it's kind of hard now. Wanting to be this type of person, this holy person, or this person that goes to church and what's not. Then on the other hand, trying to fit in with the crowd and be fashionable and engage stuff in other stuffs and so forth. It's kind of a, it's unbalanced. It's kind of a challenge or struggle. So that's why I used words like urban and rural to pinpoint exactly what I mean, and respectful and caring and fashionable and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Truth. That was very insightful. I feel like I got to know the two of you better. Roshini, I would like to hear from you, but relating to something different. I would like to know from you, how did the activity help you to understand the text more? How were you able to interpret the text using this activity?
Well, from the activity, I've seen that in everyone's life, you will see a change in behavioral patterns as you grow. Because from a smaller age, you notice that it's quite like more of innocent qualities. You're being hopeful. You think everything will be all great. And then as you grow up now, there's a transformation. You're starting to see that maybe it's not what you thought it would be when you were younger. And this changes your behavior. For example, you might go from being hopeful to now you start to question things in your life.
Okay, but I want to get from you, how does it how does reflecting on yourself help you to understand a text?
You are putting yourself in the place of the writer, the narrator. So you're trying to see All right, how does it make me feel if I'm to put myself in their shoes?
I like that. How does it make me feel? Putting yourself in their shoes to understand. So you can either relate or you can't relate. But either way, you're putting yourself in their shoes to understand their journey. All right, with that being said, I would like to hand you back to Miss Darlington to conclude today's workshop.
All right, so that was a wonderful experience. Now for our concluding activity, I will ask Miss Grace to just share on the screen a little picture that we have for you today. Now, this picture is made up of various shoes, and it's showing or depicting various professions. Now, I want for you to look at these pictures, look at the shoes, and you make a connection between yourself and one of these shoes. You have 1 minute. Would anybody like to go first?
Yes, miss, I would like to go first.
Okay.
So that will be the second shoes, the black shoe, which looks like a teacher shoe. So I would normally see my mother wearing them to go to work. And from that now, I always wanted to get shoes like that and take up the same profession.
Okay, next person.
I would like to make a connection or say something about the same shoes that Roshini spoke about. I have a big sister. She's a model, so being in the pageantry, you usually have to wear shoes like these. So yeah, that's where I know this
Lovely.
shoe.
All right, Crystal.
Okay, so I would like to look at the first shoe. It's like a big, it looks like a steel toe shoe, and it immediately reminds me of two of my brothers who work in an industry where they have to wear these type of shoes often. So yes, I can definitely see how this shoe relates to a part of my life, especially with my male family members and their jobs.
Wonderful. So in life, not only in our comprehension class, we must be able to make connections, but in life, we must be able to make connection on a whole. Now, I would like to ask you, what are the other types of connections? So we looked at text to self today, but what do you think the other types of connections are? Think about it.
Miss, sometimes when I'm reading a book, it reminds me of another book I've read in the past. So I think that sometimes you can connect the message between two different books.
And that right there is text to text connection. Wonderful. Anybody else? So we have text to self and we have text to text. Anybody else?
Miss, sometimes you read a book and it talks about the changes that are happening in the world. And
Okay.
yes, miss, and what is going on and how you could relate to it.
So which connection you think that would be?
Text the world, miss.
Wonderful. So we have text to self, text to text, text the world. Is there any other connection we can think of? Or that's all?
Miss, I think that's all.
Wonderful. That's all. So true. So today we looked at text to self, and the other connections are text to world and text to text. Now, I want to thank you for participating in our workshop today, and I hope that you learned everything that we would have done today in our session. See you next time.